I was talking to people on Twitch. Mhm. Well, okay. I think it's good now. What's up, guys? Let's make it form. So let me know in the chat if you can see and hear me clearly. All right, I got some delay today. I don't know what happened. I couldn't. I mean, YouTube couldn't receive the data from OBS. Um, and it's always with YouTube because I was live on Instagram, I was live on Facebook, I was live on Twitch, but not YouTube. So that's why we got it delayed. So I started the stream at 7:04. Okay, at 7:04 I started the stream, but we got some delayed on YouTube. So let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat if you can see and see if you can see my screen, if you can hear me clearly. Okay. Let me know. We are late, but we still here, so we're still here. Okay. All right, everybody say 8. Okay. So in today's call, we're gonna have right now I'm doing the call on Discord to guys with some students I have the privilege to teach, all right, to share my knowledge to them. Their parents are also my students, okay, and they understand the importance of knowing these things, right? Learning about investment, trading, and all of these things. They know this is very important, okay, especially for kids around 15, 16, all right? So yeah, here we are. So I'm gonna talk to them sometimes, and if you hear me asking some questions that's not on the chat, so you will know that I'm talking to them. All right. Not too many people, 30 people. It's Friday. I know it's weekends. Nobody wants to hear me talking on their heads. But like I said, I'm gonna stream every day until the end of the year. So here we are. We currently on 8 or 9 days in a row. I don't remember. Okay. So guys in the Discord, if you have any questions, so you can type them in the chat or you can stop me as usual, okay? Even though we have like 40 something people right now, it's not a problem, okay? You can just let me know if you have a question and I will answer. So in today's call, we're gonna go over something very important: how to identify the low/high of the day. Okay, because if you watch my markets breakdown, by the way, if you're new to the channel, to the YouTube channel, I do market breakdown every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 8:30 in the morning, and it's only for paid members. Okay, so you can just go on YouTube and join the YouTube channel as a member, and you will have access to all of them. Okay. And if you're not satisfied after 1 month, you can just you can just like stop paying it. But I'm pretty sure you're gonna have some satisfaction. All right. How to identify the low slash high of the day? Because when we are trading, the razzle dazzle basically is based on that. It's based on identifying where is the manipulation, where is the liquidity, and where the low is set, where the high is set. That's what we are looking for. And that's why I teach you things like imbalance. Okay. The first thing I teach you is basically some especially people on my mentorship, it's high of day. Okay, what is the high of day? The high of day is basically the highest point in the day. All right, the high of day is the highest point in the day. The low of the day is the lowest point of the day. And then we also study the 50% of the previous day range. All right, it's when you draw like 50% of a day, okay, of a range, and you got the 50%. And look at how close this was today. That's crazy. And then I teach you premium and discount. I teach you manipulation, divergence, and all of these things is to identify where and when the low slash high of the day has been set. Okay. So now, why it's important to identify where the low or the high of the day is set? Okay. Can somebody in the chat tell me why? Can somebody in the chat tell me why it's very important to identify when the low and the high? I mean, why it's important to identify when or where the low or the high of the day has been set? All right, we got Shlory Bien-Aimé said best coach and the best mentorship ever seen. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that, man. Your message today, I mean, I didn't even know what to answer. I really appreciate that. Let me just pin that message. Let me just pin your comment. Okay. So let me know in the chat why is it important to identify when, where the low slash the high of the day has been set. You can answer to Bobby, Nick, or Solimi. You can type on the Discord chat. I will see your message. I will see your comment. Well, you can use the mic, but the fact that I'm live, it might be a little bit hard to manage the sound. Okay. To know if the market might come back in that area again during the trading day, because we need this info to know the next directions of the market, to know if we are bullish or bearish. All right, all of these answers are good. All right, so now everything came from the basics. All right, it's always the basics. I don't know if you watch sports. Okay, every time I like basketball. Every time we have a championship, we have the playoffs, the winning team, if you like paying attention to the conversation the coach had to them, it's always the same thing. Remember the basics. Remember the basics. Remember the basics. All right. It's everything like came from the basics. What is the basics? It's very easy. It's the high, low, close, open of a candle. It's nothing less, nothing more. It's basically what it is. All right. The high, okay, the low, the open, and the close of a candle. All right. So now, when we have a bullish candle, for example, what's gonna happen? We're gonna have the open at the bottom. Okay. We're gonna have the open at the bottom right here. That's we're gonna call the daily open. Okay. Let's say that's a daily candle. Oh, sorry. That's a daily candle. We're gonna call it the daily open. That's gonna be the high. Okay. That's gonna be the high, right? And then that's gonna be the close. Okay. It's a bullish candle, so the close will be above the open. Okay. I think you know that already. Okay, that will be the close, and then that will be the low of the day. So all right, gonna have this thing. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to understand. Okay, it's pretty easy to understand. Okay. Sterling, I speak 2 languages in the stream. I'm gonna speak some Creole. Don't worry about that, okay? C'est celle nation qui parle autant de monde qui parle anglais. That's crazy. Des fois parle anglais pour haïtien ou Neville. But don't worry, okay? And if you don't speak English, I will recommend you to like learn English. All right, it's very important in 2025 to learn another language. All right, learn Spanish, English, or like something else. So apprendre parler anglais, li apitin nou non paquet bagay. It's Mba ki j'aime m'expliquer ça because it's very like it's obvious you have to speak English, especially in trading or like if you are doing something else, businesses, like you want to do business, you gotta speak English, bro. And that's the reason why, bro, I don't like TikTok, because on TikTok people really don't want you to speak English. You have to speak Creole. If you don't speak Creole, you are racist, you're everything. All right, so basically like I was saying, everything came from the basics: the high, the close, the open, and the low. So now let's consider this as a daily candle, which means it represent what a daily the information we had from a daily, like a daily price action, basically. Okay. So now what's gonna happen when we are trading, when you wake up and you open your screen, you don't really know if we're gonna have a bearish day and if we're gonna have a bullish day. All right. It's Davins di anglais ça c'est créole yo ou pas qu'on parler mais on comprendre. Simple. Of course, yeah. So we don't really know if we're gonna have a bullish day or a bearish day. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna look for we are going to look for evidence. Okay, we are going to look for evidence that say the low has been set, the high has been set. The low and the high set is like a barrier. That means knowing where low or high is set give you opportunity to know the free direction. Exactly, Holyfield. That's a good explanation. Okay. So now we are going to look for evidence that say the low has been set, the high has been set. So now the first question you have to ask yourself is where I'm at. Okay. Okay. So that's the first question you have to ask yourself. Okay. And then you're gonna find your location based on the daily open. Okay. Now we're gonna just stay in the daily. Okay. We're gonna identify our location based on the daily open. So let's say I am above the daily open. Okay. Let's say I'm above the daily open. Okay. When I open my screen, the market is here. We don't have the bullish candle yet. Remember, the bullish candle will be we're gonna have the confirmation that the day is bullish when the day is closed, basically. All right. But let's say I open my screen, I'm above the daily open. That's what you have. That's the question you have to ask yourself. Qui vote mieux? Okay? Ki kote miye? If I'm above the daily open, that doesn't mean we have to sell. And I think we have some misconception about the daily open, because people usually say, "Oh, I'm above the daily open, I'm gonna short." I think, I think that came from me, but maybe the way I used to explain was a little bit confusing. Okay, I never say that if I'm above the daily open, I have to short. No, I'm above the daily open, I will pay attention, or I will investigate the information I have below the daily open. So if the market, let's say that's the New York Stock Exchange, and before the New York Stock Exchange at 9:30, we had some price action below the daily open, I will pay attention, I will investigate the information we had below the daily open. It's very easy, all right? It's not complicated, all right? So now, this investigation will give me the evidence that says the low has been set, and then I know we're gonna stay bullish for the entire day, or I know I'm gonna be bullish for the rest of the day. Not every time we're gonna have a market above the daily open, I will be bullish. Okay. Not every time the market is above the daily open, I'm gonna say, "Oh, I'm bullish. We are above the daily open." Nah. I will investigate the price action, the information I have below the daily open, to see if I can consider the low of the day has been set. Okay. Let me know in the chat if you don't have any questions. To get more information about, to know when it's good to enter a trade or entry. All right, Bobby and Nick, you were right. You were right. I just see your message. Okay. So now, remember, guys, I'm doing the calls with you and some private students. Okay. I think Sulimi is 15, Nick is 15. All right. And parents yo jugé bon que faut que yo apprenne bagay ça très très bonheur, et yo parle l'autre monde pour yo te demander ça, c'était moi-même. Bien entendu, parents yo c'est élève moi tout, et son honneur pour moi, son privilège pour moi. OK? Et si je pas accepté off ça, je pense que je suis en prison, because come on. So yeah. So now, what evidence we can consider, okay, to justify the low of the day has been set? Let me know in the chat, okay? On YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, anywhere. Let me know in the chat. Tell me the evidence, because you should know this evidence if you watch me for a long period of time. You should, at this point, you should know them. Okay? Qui ça que m'pa regarder, qui évidence que m'a cherché en bas de li open nan, qui pour dire que l'eau bam yon, bam mon premier, parce qu'il y a plusieurs liés. C'est plusieurs bagailles kap mette ensemble. It's like a court case, like I usually say. It's like a court case, and when you go to the court, you have to prove some evidence, all right? If someone is guilty or not. And it's gonna be the same thing. If I don't have evidence, so I don't have anything to prove my point. So what I'm gonna do? So I'm gonna lose the case. Okay? So let me know in the chat what can manipulation, of course, that's the first thing we had on Twitch from Evenzi. Manipulation. We have John on YouTube says that manipulation at previous daily low, ASEAN low, London low. Exactly. Okay. I'm gonna say manipulation at some specific areas. Okay. And we all know these specific areas, like previous day low, previous weekly low, previous session, previous day low, previous session low, previous weekly low, also the 50% of a previous range, such as like previous day range, previous weekly range, previous monthly range. Okay. Some specific areas, they are very important. We're not just gonna consider any reaction as manipulation. Okay. John Steve, reactional imbalance higher time frame plus spin bar. I will consider the reaction. Okay, reactional imbalance higher time frame. That's good. So reaction from a higher time frame imbalance. So now higher time frame imbalance, like I said, it's a little bit subjective, because what I consider as higher time frame, somebody was doing scalping in 30 seconds or 15 seconds or 5 seconds will consider something else as higher time frame. So for my for me, basically, higher time frame means higher than 1 hour. Okay, higher than 1 hour. When I say higher than 1 hour, it's for daily, weekly. It can be monthly too, but most of the time it's just gonna be the daily. Okay, I need some daily imbalance, and it's for, okay, of course, inside of this imbalance we're gonna filter this imbalance to find the M15 imbalance inside of this higher time frame imbalance. Okay, and you've learned that from me, right? Nobody else teach you these things, right? Basically, so manipulation at some specific areas, reaction from a higher time frame imbalance. What else? Let me know. Divergence, that's good. Divergence, okay. Divergence, it's like I don't know if you used to watch Suits, okay. I know a lot of you used to watch Suits, Harvey Specter, Mike Ross. They always have like an information. They never like share this information first, they keep this information. If the opponent, if the opposite, like, their opponent, if they have something they did not expect, and they will go to their information, to the box and stuff, to find this information, and then they will slap this information in the opponent's face the last minute, the last second. And divergence is that paper, right? Divergence is that information. Okay, this information, you're just gonna slap it in in the opponent face. You just drop it. Okay, you just drop it to the lawyer, or to the judge. Sorry, you just drop it to the judge, and at this point they have anything else to say. All right. So if I have the manipulation, and they say, that's not enough, you have a reaction from the imbalance. That's not enough, bro. That's not enough. And then, you know what? Boom, I have a divergence. All right, bro. The law is set. All right. If you have a manipulation in some specific areas, you have a reaction from a higher time frame imbalance, plus you have a divergence. All right, brother. The law is set. The case is closed. All right. So these three evidence, they are very important to justify the low / the high of the day. So as of right now, we're talking about the low of the day. So now, whenever you open your screen, of course, you can do some top-down analysis before that, okay? But when you open your screen, you have to find your position, find your location to see if you're above the daily open, if you're below it, if you're close to it, or if we are doing a contraction, because sometimes we are doing some contraction at the daily open, and sometimes I'm like, okay, we need some expansion first. Before I take a decision, I need some expansion first, okay? I need more details. I need more evidence. If we are, let's say I open my screen, yes, we are above the daily open, but I see the market is like, moving back and forth. I'm gonna say, okay, I need more evidence. I'm probably gonna have to wait for an expansion in any direction to justify my point. Okay, so now you have to ask where you have to find out your position based on the daily open. So now if you're above the daily open, and then you're gonna pay attention to, you're gonna investigate the information you had below the daily open to see if the low has been set or if the high has been set. So now there it is. If we have all of these things below the daily open, this low came from a higher time frame imbalance. We have a manipulation at some specific areas. We have a divergence. You're not gonna just open your broker or open your prop firm to just buy right here. Okay. You're not gonna like just, I open my brokers or I have evidence we are bullish, I'm just gonna buy right here. Because remember, the philosophy of the razzle dazzle is to buy low and sell high. That's it. Okay. Rich says that divergence is the last key to the setup to know if the low is set. I'm not gonna say the last one, but it's like let's say it's the undeniable information, I could say. Okay, you can't deny that when we have a divergence at certain low or certain highs, and we have a reaction at an imbalance, you can't deny that. Okay, if you're a judge, you're watching that and you have these two evidence, manipulation and then reaction from a high time frame imbalance, and when you like look at the divergence, bro, I can't deny that there is no other way that the low has been set. Okay, well, the market is the market, anything can happen, but based on the data we have, we know 90% of the time, 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, when we have this evidence, we can say the low is set. So now if the low is set, I know I'm bullish. Okay, I know I'm bullish for the day. I know I'm bullish. Well, when I open my screen, when I'm doing market breakdown and I say, guys, I'm bullish. All right, I don't know what's gonna happen. Earthquake, hurricane. By the way, we have to think about our borders in Haiti and Jamaica that are having some bad moments. Hurricane Melissa right now. So it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. I have no words, I have no words. It's always us. It's always, the West Indies, the Caribbean countries having like earthquake, disaster, hurricane. And I'm like, bro, why us every single time? So yeah. So like I was saying, I don't care what's gonna happen in the market, if Powell is gonna speak, if we're gonna have interest rate or whatever. If I'm bullish, I'm bullish. If I'm bearish, I'm bearish. That's who I am. That's what gives me the confidence in the market. That's why I'm confident. And I know some people, they hate like the confidence I have sometimes, but the confidence is unbreakable. Right? This confidence is unbreakable. So if I'm bullish until the market tells me, brother, you are wrong. Okay? Brother, you are wrong. Okay? Exactly, bien aimé. Mid-zambo tête moi, I'm bullish. That's usually what I say. Alright? Mid-zambo tête moi, mettez tête moi en bas guillotine. Devi m'dou bullish, m'bullish. C'est market nak pou di m'pa bullish. Okay? Whatever samedi nan news, whatever sak soti comme news, depi ou m'te gen nan bullish la, m'bullish jusqu'à ce que market la li même di brother, ou pas bullish. And I'm like, okay, fine. And that's the thing. Moi, à la fois ka confident 100% while staying in the middle. Like when I say staying in the middle, if the market tells me I'm wrong, I'm not gonna force anything. I'm not gonna force anything. I'm just gonna close everything. Most of the time, close everything and go like sleep or do something else. Okay, and that's the superpower of a trader. Okay, know when to sell, when to bail. Okay, that's very important. Yes, Nick, prayers to them. So yeah. So now, what we're gonna need All right, we have the evidence. We have the evidence that say the low has been set. So now what's next? Tell me in the chat. What's next? Because I'm going to. Okay. What's next? Conviction, reaction. Okay. Not a bad answer. We need confirmation. Okay. What confirmations you're waiting for? The target. That's a good point. Okay. That's a good point. That's a good point. Okay. That's a good point. That's a good point. Okay. So now, ou kon ki koto ye? Fon koto prale. Fon koto prale. Okay. Where I'm at, okay, no get evidence ki di the low of the day has been set. So now, where are we going? Basically, because, okay, ou bullish koto prale. And I think that represents some barriers for some traders. They're just gonna take some trade, but they don't know where they are going. You know, let's pray the market give us like 100 points, 300 points, 400 points. They don't know where they are going. Okay, so basically, we're gonna need a target. Okay, so now we have the evidence that says the low has been set. So now, where are we going? We need a target. So what's gonna be the target? And of course, what you say, Evans D is good. What you say, Mark Jerry, it's also good. Find the retracement to go higher. All right, that's also good. But we're gonna need some targets. Okay, we need the retracement to go higher, but to go where? Sorry. Bernard say go on higher time frame. It depends. Not really. Okay. Because this is the daily. Let's say that's the M15. Okay. Let's call it everything I'm drawing right on the right is the M15. Where are we going? Okay. You know where you at. You know where the market's coming from. We see the manipulation. We see the divergence. We see the reaction in some specific areas. But where are we going? So we're gonna need some target. Okay. So now, what's gonna be the targets? The targets will be some low resistance low. Okay. Okay. Some low resistance highs. Okay. And then slash equal lows. And slash equal highs. All right. So now, the low resistance low and the low resistance highs are my favorite targets. Okay. I know Sulimi and Bobby and Nick, you had this homework. Okay. These are my favorite target. I think I prefer low resistance low and low resistance high. I like them. I think I prefer them than equal lows and equal highs. Okay. Okay. You're gonna need some targets. So now, where are we gonna find these targets? Basically, how are we gonna do to find these targets? Okay. First thing first, what is the low resistance low? If you're new to this channel, the low resistance low, it's basically when the market was moving to the downside. Okay. The market was moving to the downside. We have a retracement. Okay. The market give us like a nice reaction. Okay. And the market say, okay, let me just keep going to the ups, to the downside. And then we had another reaction right here. When we have this reaction, what's gonna happen? The low the second low will be very close to the first low. So the lowest point will be the low resistance low. That's what we call the low resistance low. So now, why this area is very important? Okay, it's not the low resistance. It's not the word resistance is not the same as support resistance you used to listen to like from other people. Right? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not the same. Okay, and I think I should use another like words for that. It's engineer liquidity. So now, why these areas, they are very important? Okay, first thing first, we had this movement. Okay, we have this first reaction. Okay, and then we all know everything is operated by market makers, algorithms. Okay, but now this is what happened when the market dropped down, and right here we had another reaction. It basically means that some people, I don't know who they are, okay, but some people, they bought here. They bought here and create liquidity in this area. Can you close your mic, Mr. Bobby, please? Thank you. So when we have something like this, we know below these two lows, we're gonna have a target. That's what I call the low resistance low. Okay. À chaque fois que nous ouais, ça m'oblige de dire en créole, à chaque fois que nous ouais un mouvement qui fait comme ça, qui tête coupée en W, ok, le commun des mortels pour le double bottom, but nous-mêmes, la façon que vous allez utiliser là complètement différent de nous, ok. So, à chaque fois qu'on a un mouvement comme ça, tout dit tout que moins vle là, ok. Bon, on qui love là, but ou vle là, ok. Ou connaît que ou vle là. So now, why it's so important? First thing first, like I said, some people bought this in this movement right here. Where they put their stop? They put their stop right here. So by putting their stops right here, they create more orders. They create what we can call engineer liquidity or latent liquidity. Okay. So by doing this, we're gonna have some latent liquidity right here that, okay, they're gonna be sell stop. Okay, they're gonna be sell stop because when you buy and you put your stop loss, it's a sell stop. That's the first thing. All right. So now people seeing this and they're gonna say, oh, that's a double bottom. So if I have a double bottom, let me just buy. Okay, or I'm gonna wait for price to come close to it again, and then I'm just gonna buy. And or some people gonna say, you know what, that's the order block, that's the demand, I'm gonna wait for price to come here to buy. You know what's funny? I used to be one of these people. Okay, that's why supply and demand fail. That's why sometimes your order block will not be valid, because you have some downside liquidity below it. Okay, so now by putting all of these orders, they keep creating what? Some latent liquidity. Because people that's gonna buy here, where they're gonna put their stop? Right here, adding more liquidity here. Okay, and then we also have retail traders. I'm not saying I'm not retail traders, all right. The most common, the most popular strategy is like breakout and retest and stuff like that. So when they see movement like this, what they're gonna wait for? They're gonna wait for price to break something like this and retest. So now we all know traders, they are impatient, right? They are impatient. When the market comes close to this area, they're gonna start putting their stop. They're gonna, not their stop. They're gonna start to place their position because they are impatient before the break, and we all know that before the break, before everything. So by putting their orders right here, what's gonna happen? The market will give them the market will give them some, all right, the market will give them some inches, and take a mile. My John Fibonacci used to say that. Okay, so the market will give them some inches and then take a mile. So they're gonna be in profit for a few seconds, and it's gonna be the same thing for like people that's gonna wait for a breakout. The market will do something like this. The market will give them some inches and then boom, take like 3 kilometers, like 10 kilometers. All right. So now people that waiting for the breakout and then they're gonna wait for a retest to go lower, they're gonna place some order right here. Do you know how they call this order? They call them sell them. Okay, we all know about that. All right, that's not something new. Sell them. Okay, and we also have some traders that's gonna wait for price to come at this level again to do what? To just place their buy. And some swing trader, they just gonna put their limit right here and wait for the activation to go higher. So by doing this, they had some buy limit. So this area is full of orders. But you know what is funny? Coach, if we found the market at the daily open and the low resistance low is from the divergence, so we still consider, we're gonna talk about that. Okay, we're gonna talk about that. So basically all of these, we call them the latent liquidity. Okay, so sell stop, you can say engineer liquidity, it's not a problem. Okay, sell stop, sell limits, buy limits, all of these orders, they are in this area. But I'm not going to wait for a breakout and retest. I'm not gonna put a buy limit here. No, I'm going to find where the market will do the manipulation and then to go lower. And that's where the concept high of the day, low of the day came from. Okay, because let's say I have evidence that say the high of the day is set. So now all I have to do is to keep going lower to attack this liquidity. So it's gonna be the same thing for the low of the day in the opposite. Okay, in the opposite way. Let's say we have some upside objective and we have evidence that say the high of the low of the day has been set, and then we had some upside objective, we have some low resistance low, something like this. Okay, boom, and then all I have to do is to find evidence that the low has been set. And then as soon as the low is set, I have evidence, we just talked about them, that says the low is set. All I have to do now is to find a retracement, find under the manipulation to go higher and attack this liquidity. That's it. Okay, so now I'm gonna need a target, and where I'm gonna find this target. First thing first, I prioritize today's price action. Okay, I will see if I don't have a low resistance high from today's price action. I mean, basically, if we're already above the daily open, we're not gonna find some low resistance high most of the time. But I will pay attention most of the time to today's price action. It depends on the context, and then I'm going to look for like yesterday's price action to see if we have some targets. Okay, because the closer it is, better the better the targets will be. Okay, so now you're gonna have some targets to attack, some low resistance high to attack right here. Okay, from yesterday's price action, last week price action, or I don't know. And then as soon as you have your target, so now you're gonna wait for a retracement. Okay, you're just gonna wait for a retracement. Remember, we buy low and then we sell high. So now this retracement will happen in some specific areas. Again, you might not believe it, but it is what it is. Okay, yes, sometimes the market just take off, but most of the time we're gonna have a last retracement, we're gonna have another retracement in some specific areas before we move to the upside. Can somebody tell me what areas I'm talking about? Okay, let me check the comment. Okay, because now we're gonna have to find an entry to attack this liquidity. Okay, let me know in the chat. I'm here. I'm here. Inverted imbalance, normal imbalance, IC candle, market low, first 30-minute low. All right. So, Mark J, you are right. Okay. You are right. You are right. The market will do this retracement. Sorry. At the pre-market low and the first 30 minutes low. So now if you don't know what the pre-market low is, you can just check the channel. Okay. If you don't know what is the first 30 minutes low, just check the channel, because we've been talking about this thing a lot. Okay. So now all you have to do is wait for this movement right here. Okay. Wait for this movement right here and then find an entry. What's gonna be the entry? We all know them: the inversion, the IC candle, the imbalance, and then go higher. That's it. That's it. Okay. You have this like that, boom, and then that's gonna be your target. That's gonna be your target. That's how we trade. Okay. People gonna say you trade counter trend. Okay. Because most of the time this movement might be an aggressive move, but who cares? I don't care, because I have evidence that say the low is set and I have targets to go. I know where I'm at and I know where I'm going. I don't know about what people say or what they think. Find an entry after the retracement. Entry in M5, in M1, in M2, in M3, like all of them. Like you decide what's good for you. Basically, I use M5 and M1. Okay, M5 and M1. Okay, that's it. So now let's go back to today's price action. Okay, and then yes, people ask me to give them some examples about the low resistance low. All right, we're gonna have a lot because that's exactly what the market does every single day. Okay, we can see right here. If we put, I'm gonna put the market on M5. We can see the market was moving to the downside. Okay, the market was moving to the downside right here. We had a reaction. Okay, and then we came very close to it. It gotta be close to it. It gotta be close to it. If it's not close, it's not a low resistance low. If it's not close, it's not a low resistance high. I see you doing things like this, and like na force citra on trend line. I don't teach that. I didn't teach you to draw low resistance low like that. If it's not close, it's not low resistance low, and that's it. It gotta be close. They gotta be very close. Between M5 and M1, which one is safer? Well, trading itself is not safe. So nothing in trading is safe. But basically, people saying M1 is not safe. But I see it's basically the same thing. You just have to understand the fractality, the fractalization. That's what you have to understand. Okay. So now, when you have the first low and the market came close to it and then do the reaction, like I told you, this low 47,547, we've been talking about that a lot this week. 47,547, 47,547. I keep repeating that since Wednesday. That's a target. If I'm bearish, whenever I'm bearish, that's gonna be the target. Sometimes you can get the inverted on a time, but it ain't valid because the fractality imbalance for entry. This part of the mentorship saved me from some losses. I like that, bro. Well, I've realized that you know my strategy already, because in a few weeks, in a few weeks you dropping some sauce in the Discord, bro. And I'm like, bro, he's on fire, and I like that. And I like that. And I remember you told me you are 17. I don't know. I might be wrong. I might be wrong. And Lori, I might be wrong. I remember you said you were like 17 and you mastered these things already. That's crazy, man. And I remember you said you were in Haiti. I might be wrong. Because I'm talking to a lot of people every single day. Okay. I don't remember everybody. So now, yeah, 47,547, we can see our price came here and react to these things, to this area. So that was a low resistance low. Donald, I speak Creole too. M'ka parle Creole, m'parle Creole ensemble avec nous, mélanger Creole là. The thing is, appel ça m'a fait là, m'sensé a fait là avec étudiants qui parlent plus anglais que créole dans Discord. I mean, dans Discord moyen, but nous pas reparti ça dans Discord là, ok? Yes, nous gain américain dans Discord là, nous just pas reparti ça dans Discord là. So I gotta do Discords in English, all right? And of course, I'm gonna make some Creole here and there, but most of the time, 80% of the time, my stream, they're gonna be in English, guys. Make an effort to learn the English, guys. It will be very beneficial for you. Okay, it will be let me give you a story. When I left Haiti, when I came here, well, bat kon bali pi gou anglais te existe, but en pile moun te pense que nan collège là depuis bien longtemps. OK, moi de n'importe moun qui était dans collège là ensemble avec moi, y a dit yo pense me là longtemps. Because yes, m'pa parle anglais, m'geta tellement comprendre un paquet de bagaille que m'pa paraît ton just come. Just because when I was in Haiti, my father used to force me to learn English. Yeah. And I remember he used to tell me, if you want to learn English, listen to Bob Marley. If you want to learn English, listen to Bob Marley. Because he usually said that Bob Marley speak good English on his songs. It's not complicated, it's easy. And that's why I know some Bob Marley song without buying tout music sa. Et là, m'a dit, bro, m'konn music yo. Because when I was a kid, m'te obligé à de Bob Marley, Céline Dion, etc. Bay sa yo. M'te kon ap chercher texte yo pour qu'on gagne tout social media. It's very good to understand English, guys. Ou par contre, qui l'on porte à venir, on qui l'opportunité à venir. OK? Et nous supposons parler pour opportunité avant même qu'il vienne. Shlory, par exemple, il est en Haïti. Et Shlory presque écrit anglais seulement dans formation qui est en créole. So, and I really appreciate that, Shlory. You are 17. You understand my strategy already. You know how to trade already, bro. You just need, I think you needed some precision. That's why you came to the mentorship, and I'm glad you are satisfied, bro. So now let's get some payout, and we're gonna move on after that. Okay, so yeah, I remember you told me everything will be under your mom's name since you are not 18 yet. So we're gonna find a way. So yeah, so that was a target. If I don't have something like this to buy, even though if I'm bullish or bearish, or like I said recently, whatever I want to do, if I don't have something to attack, if I don't have a direction, nothing's gonna happen. Let's talk about today's trade. Okay, let's talk about today's trade you took in the Discord. Okay, I was not here today. After the breakdown, I had to go somewhere. Okay, so now what happened? The market manipulated this low. That was the previous day low. Okay, that was the previous day low. We got the manipulation, and then you add some evidence that say the low has been set. Okay, I remember I saw this question: do we need to have a divergence? We don't have to. Okay, but it's better when we have it. Okay, so but today we had a divergence. So where is the divergence? Where the divergence happen? And this is it. That's why my community is one of the best. Okay. And bouncing no concern, but even companies, US companies, they know about me while doing content in Creole. Okay. They talk to John, hey, can we have LibRite service? And my strategy is everywhere. I mean, the way I trade is everywhere on social media, but there is some specific difference I have. I put in my strategy that makes a huge difference. Okay. One of them is the divergence. Nowadays, people call it SMT. Okay. I've learned it from Larry Williams. Well, I've learned it from John Fibonacci. And he talked about Larry Williams. He showed me the books. I bought the books and everything. Larry Williams used to wait for the divergence at some specific areas. If you read the books, you're gonna find that. Okay? He is waiting for divergence in some specific areas. He's gonna use timing. So let's say after X amount of days, the asset is bullish. So at certain amount of days, the market is bearish. I'm gonna wait to see if I can have a divergence, because he was using some cycle. He knows, let's say, okay, he's gonna say, okay, NQ has a 30 days bearish cycle. Okay, which means most of the time the bearish movement on NQ will be for 30 days. So after, like, between starting on 20 days, 25 days, that's when Larry Williams will start looking for divergence. Okay, because I see people looking for divergence everywhere in the market, and I've been saying that for years. That's why you're gonna lose. If you're looking for divergence everywhere, you're gonna lose yourself. And people that teaching you this thing on social media, basically from the ICT community, now that's where the word the word SMT came from. They won't tell you these things. The divergence should be at some specific area. Okay, you're not gonna looking for divergence here and there, because in almost 2 or 3 weekends we have a divergence. Okay, in almost 2 or 3 weekends we have a divergence. So I'm gonna trade every divergence I see. When I see some short videos on Instagram, oh, we have a SMT right here. That's, the strategy is not based on SMT. The way I trade came from Larry Williams. The way most of the people that trade ICT came from, they've learned the strategy came from Larry Williams. So I don't know why they change everything from Larry Williams and then doing their own things, even though that's what's happening in the trading world. You know, people copy something from somebody else and saying, that's my concept, we can call it LibRite, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so they're just gonna put their name on it, but it is what it is. We can't change that. But what I'm gonna tell you right now, that exactly what makes a huge difference. I'm not looking for divergence everywhere in the market. I'm not stupid. Okay, that's a divergence right here. That's nothing. It means literally nothing. You have to wait for divergence in some specific areas, so such as previous daily low, previous daily high, Asian low, Asian high, and stuff like this. So now what happened here? You had evidence that say the low has been set. Why? Do you know? You want to know why? First thing first, we had some higher time frame imbalance. I know, in fact, we had them because we drew them this morning. Okay, well, it's almost 8:30. I gotta go. Well, but we had some higher time frame we had some higher time frame imbalances on all of the indices in this area. So the market reacted at the higher time frame imbalance, basically. Okay, so and we had a manipulation. And we had a divergence. That's where you're looking for divergences. And we have the target. Where's the target? That's the target, bro. Every time you have something like this, me dite tout que là, nous gagnons packet order. Watch this. We have this reaction. Okay. We have this reaction right here. Boom. The market came very close to it. And then we had a second reaction. Boom. So now people gonna tell my students they are trading counter trend because this movement is bearish, the market is bearish. Nope. They have evidence the low has been set. Now they are attacking this liquidity. Check the post, the reels I just posted on Instagram. They are attacking this liquidity. When the low is set, be ready to fly. That's how I called the stream we had. I don't remember which day it was. Okay, that's how I called the stream. When the low is set, be ready to fly because that's the low. It's set, and then we're moving to the upside to attack this liquidity. Okay. Do you hear me? I don't see any. I don't see any reaction from you guys. Bonjour le bright, moi applique l'académie en autant, moi pas jamais. You texted the WhatsApp number. You text us on WhatsApp. Okay. And guess what? Do you see where the market just reacted right here? Do you see where? Do you see where? And that's why I explain to my students when we have a low resistance to a low resistance high, we don't really know if the market will break and retest. And we don't really know if the market will do reaction like this. I know the market will do one of them. So sometimes the person that waiting for the break and retest will be right. And sometimes the person that waiting for the sell limit or whatever will be right. But that's not my business. My business is to like go to that direction. Okay. But do you know what happened here? Some impatient traders in their strategy, they have like break and retest, but the fact that this candle is a nice candle, they're gonna say, oh, we almost break it, but we didn't, but we have a nice candle. Let me just buy it. And the market just, nope. So that's a target. Okay. And in today's market breakdown, we talked about these targets. Okay. We talked about that one. Okay. We talked about that one. That's exactly what I said in the market breakdown. When you have it like that, that's targets, bro. I don't care where the market, I don't care if we're bullish. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say I don't care, but even though you have an expansion bullish right here, like that, you can't buy with these targets on your back. Well, when I say you can't buy, I'm talking about my strategy, all right? Because nous gamos nous fait ça nous vle, okay? But when I have a low resistance low, when I have a Nico low, I don't want to trade against them. 99% of the time, 100% of the time. Because even though the market is extremely bullish, I know it's just a matter of time to just collapse and just take all of this liquidity. But you gotta be patient because sometimes the market will build the liquidity and leave it for future reference, leave it for tomorrow, leave it for the next session, leave it for the next week. All right. I would check that, Marcellus. Okay. So basically today, my students or people in my community, they add evidence that say the law has been set. So now, if the law is set, I have the divergence, I have the manipulation, and we are reacting from a higher time frame. The only thing we didn't have here is the pre-market low, pre-market high, and first 30 minutes low, first 30 minutes high, because it was the PM session. The PM session, it's another story. Okay, so now watch this. You can use any confirmation you want to go to the target. Okay, we can talk about this imbalance on M5. Okay, we can talk about this mitigation we had on M5. We can consider these two candle. I don't really consider more than two. We can talk about this inversion we had. Okay, we can talk about this inversion we had. It's just, you decide, what do you want? What do you want? Choose it and move to the upside and just watch it. Okay. The only thing with NQ and ES, sometimes they will not come back to the concept. All right. Why we had the IC candle, the fact that we had 1-2 imbalances, the market we trace. So, well, you're gonna see that happen sometimes. But as soon as you have this one and this close of this candle, that's your first confirmation. Reaction, we move to the upside. Boom, we react from the mitigation. We got the inversion. We keep going to the upside. Okay. And we had this IC candle, this downside movement, okay, with conviction, and then the market react real quick like that. You know, it's a manipulation in lower time frame. Okay, we react from it, we keep going to the upside until we reach the liquidity. Job is done. That's what my mentor calls terminus. Okay. And basically that's how I sold. That's exactly how I sold YM yesterday. Okay. We had this downside target, 47,547. That was the target for the day. That was the target for the week, I can say. Okay. We had a nice manipulation. The market came back to this imbalance on the M15 minutes. Boom. What happened? That's the imbalance on the M15 minutes. Come back to it. Okay. Well, I wanted to stay on the M15 minutes at this time. Okay. Until we can see we react from it. Boom. Move to the downside. Where are we going? We are going here, bro. That's where we are going. But it's just sometimes you're going to have it the next day. Okay. So we had this M15 imbalance that created this imbalance on M5. And then the market keep doing the movement. It's like a stairs. Okay. Reaction. Move to the downside. Reaction. Move to the downside. And you can use like so many entries, so many type of entries. But like I said, you have to like so essayer prendre tout ou ka perdu tout. Ou bien so essayer focus sur tout ou ka perdu tout sometimes. But the market, especially YM, will not give you one entry. It won't give you like different types of entry until the touchdown. Okay, because that's the touchdown, but in the next day. Okay, that's why in today's breakdown I told you I wanted to see price moving to the upside, and then I wanted to see price drop to the downside first, because 47,547, it was undeniable. It was really undeniable. Okay, and then we react from this imbalance, keep dropping lower. React from this imbalance, keep dropping lower. React from this imbalance, keep dropping lower. What did I told you? So now, people that's gonna use this as DMID, They are wrong because below your demand, what happened? We have liquidity. They're gonna call it demand, order block, and whatever they want to call it. Okay. Yes, you can say that was a break of structure, but you have liquidity below it, brother. Your break of structure is wrong just because you have liquidity below it. Okay. I'm not saying that to show my strategy is the best. I'm just explaining to you how the algorithms, how like things work. Okay. And like I said, when we have a target, sometimes the market will do what? The market will break, retest, and keep going lower. And sometimes the market will do something like this. So now what happened? People that waiting for the break and the retest, what happened to them? It's not working like that. Okay. They're gonna call all of these things support. The support is break, is gonna turn to resistance. Bro, no. Not today. The market says not today. I don't want to do that today. And yes, they have a nice break. Do you know how I understand all of these things? Because I used to be these traders too, bro. Abra is here. Abra can talk. Abra can say some words. All right. I used to be these type of traders waiting for break and retest, break and like the price trap. We can call it like that. I use all of these things. I used to like. I know how to set up MACD, Ichimoku Cloud, RSI, VWAP, volume profile, alligator, Bollinger Bands, name it. I know all of them. I know all. I mean, I knew all of them, and I think that's why. I think that's why now it's easy to me to like understand. All right, they're gonna manipulate this high. Oh, okay, they're gonna manipulate this low because I used to be that trader. They manipulate every single time, bro. And even when I started doing smart money concept, I used to be that trader that waiting for price to come to this target, waiting all of my confirmation, and then boom, get stopped out, and then boom, the market moving on my way. Now you gotta ask yourself why the market keeps doing that. Because you miss one important point, which is the liquidity. Whatever the concept you're gonna study, if you don't understand liquidity, if you don't understand where, why, and how the market engineer liquidity, it won't work. Okay, it will not be working. It will not be working. It's just like that. Okay, I'm not saying I have the best strategy. I'm not saying X or Y strategy is not good. Like I said, trading is not about the best strategy. It's about mastering your mind and stuff like this. Okay, but when I see something like that, bro, when I see something like that, I know we're gonna drop to the downside. Even though the entire world gonna say we have a break of structure and we're gonna wait a reaction to go high. I know that's not gonna happen. And that's how my students, that's how I can catch the high of the week. That's how we can catch the high of the week. That's how we can catch the low of the day, the low of the week, and stuff like that. Because we see certain stuff before they happen. Okay, we already know, for example, right here, we already know this movement, most people gonna call break of structure, will not be respected. Before even see the disrespect, like before seeing this, we knew that. Okay, what else? All right, FOMC day. FOMC day. Everybody's saying they're not gonna trade. They're not gonna trade. It's FOMC. It's blah blah blah. Powell gonna speak, and yes, I knew Powell was about to speak. But we wake up, we do a market breakdown. We bought the time we were supposed to buy. We sold at the time we were supposed to sell, using our strategy, using the concept and everything. We wanted to sell. We wanted to sell. Why? Because we have some targets. We have that as target, bro. So every time I see something like this, I'm like, okay, all right, I know what's gonna happen. Even though we are going to the upside, okay, we are moving to the upside, okay, because 9:30 or 8:30 where we are, okay, even at 10 we are here. But my community and high, we know what's gonna happen. I'm not saying break of structure is a bad thing. It's good. But when you have liquidity, it doesn't matter. When you have liquidity below your demand or whatever the way you call it, when you have something like this below it, the market will not give the market will not care about your strategy. Right here, the market looks bullish. We all knew that. But why we sold? Okay. Why? Not just me. Not just me. People in my community, they sold right here. Why we sold? Because we know that what's gonna happen. Even Powell is gonna give like some positive point about the economy. But before they move to the upside, if they will, they're gonna take this liquidity. Okay? They're gonna take this liquidity. What is that? All right. I will give you this as homework. Go on your chart. Okay. If you're new to my channel, if you're new to LibRite, you know, the best community in town, the best. We all know that. Go analyze your stop loss. Go analyze every time you are the stop loss. And then after that, the market move to your direction. It was built to do that. But once you understand these things, it's not even complicated. It's just hard to believe sometimes. Because sometimes when the market is moving to the upside with conviction, you're going to be, bro, I can sell. The market is very bullish. I can sell. But that's exactly what it called manipulation. Because they have to give you the feeling we are going to the upside and then reverse to go to the downside. So that was the liquidity. So that was it for today. Nick, Sulimi, and Bobby. That's very advanced a little bit, but you have the basics. You have the previous day range, you have the imbalance, you have the how to understand the candle, low and highs. We had liquidity, but I push it. Okay. You're gonna study a little liquidity after certain concepts, because I see that it was a little bit complicated to understand. But yeah, I recorded this call and you're gonna rewatch it, and I want you to keep doing the same homework we had last week. And then next week we're gonna have a really private call, okay? Not with everybody, okay? So it was a pleasure to be here with you guys. It's 8:30 p.m. I gotta go to the gym. I have my steps that need to be done and my workout and stuff. All right. See you soon.
purchase